They brought her at noon, not in a wagon, not with ceremony, just pushed forward like something they didn't want to carry anymore. The sun over Dry Mercy burned straight down, flattening shadows, bleaching color out of everything it touched. Silas Creed sat on his porch, leather strap stretched across his knee, needle moving slow through worn hide. He didn't look up at first, but he heard them. Laughter. Too loud, too easy, the kind that always meant trouble. He raised his head. 4 men, dusty, half drunk, and between them, her. She stumbled once when one of them shoved her forward. Didn't fall, just caught herself. Quiet, balanced, like she'd learned long ago not to give people the satisfaction. Silas's eyes narrowed slightly. Carter Voss stepped up onto the edge of the porch without asking, grinning, always grinning. "Well, now," Carter called out, spreading his arms like he was delivering a gift. "Figured a man like you shouldn't die talking to his walls." The others chuckled. One of them nudged the girl forward again. She stopped at the foot of the steps, didn't lift her head, didn't speak. Silas set the leather down, slow, deliberate. "What is this?" His voice was low, dry, like it hadn't been used much. Carter's grin widened. "This," he gestured toward her like she was livestock, "is a bride." Laughter. "Came off the railroad camp. Nobody wanted her. Don't talk. Don't work. Don't know a damn thing." A pause, then, "Useless." The word hung in the heat, ugly, heavy. Silas didn't look at Carter, didn't look at the other men. He looked at her, really looked. Thin frame, faded gray dress, dust clinging to the hem. But her hands, steady, not shaking, and when the wind shifted, just slightly, he caught it. The smallest lift of her chin, just enough to see her eyes, dark, clear, watching everything, not broken, not empty. Something in his chest tightened, not pity, recognition. Silas rose, full height, broad, solid, the porch suddenly smaller under him. "Take her," one of the men said, snickering. "Free of charge. Best offer you'll ever get." More laughter. They were waiting for him to snap, to curse, to throw her back at them, to prove he was exactly what they thought he was, a bitter, lonely man with nothing worth protecting. Silas stepped forward, down one step, then another, stopping just above her, close enough now to see her clearly. Her face lifted fully this time, and for a second everything else disappeared. No laughter, no town, no heat, just her eyes, meeting his, steady, unflinching. He turned, not to her, to them. "Leave her." The words landed flat, heavy, final. The laughter faltered, just for a second. Carter blinked. "What?" Silas didn't raise his voice, didn't repeat himself louder. He just said it again. "Leave her." A pause, then, "and get off my land." Silence stretched, tight, uncomfortable. Didn't move, didn't explain, didn't justify, made the joke stop being funny. Carter's smile thinned. He spat into the dirt. Suit yourself, Creed. A shrug. Enjoy your useless wife. The word hit again, but it didn't land the same. Not anymore. The men turned, laughter weaker now, fading as they walked off his land, their noise swallowed by the open prairie. Dust settled, slow, back into place. And then it was just the two of them. She stood where they'd left her, small, still. The wind moved through the hem of her dress, soft, alive. Silas looked at her again, different this time. Not as something dropped on his doorstep, not as a problem, as a person, a stranger, standing alone in his yard, just like he had been for years. You can come inside. The words came out rough, unpracticed. He gestured toward the door. She didn't move right away, studied him, just for a moment. Then she bowed her head slightly, a gesture that didn't belong to this place, didn't belong to him, and somehow that made it feel more real. She walked past him, close enough that he felt it, the shift of air, the warmth of another body moving through his space. He didn't turn, didn't follow immediately, just stood there, on his own porch, looking out at the empty land. The house behind him was no longer empty, and for the first time in a long time, that didn't feel like a threat. It felt like something had just begun. Silas didn't follow her right away. He stayed on the porch, listening. The same wind, the same land, but the house behind him felt different. He exhaled once, then turned and went inside. The first thing he noticed was the silence. Not gone, just changed. There was movement inside it now, soft, measured, alive. She stood near the hearth, her back to him. The gray dress she wore wasn't made for this kind of life. Too thin, too worn, clinging slightly where sweat and dust had settled into the fabric. Her hair, once tight, had loosened, a few dark strands falling against her neck. She was looking at the room, not confused, not overwhelmed, assessing, like she was already deciding what to fix first. "You don't have to stay," Silas said, flat, habit. She didn't turn. "I know." A pause. Then, "I still stay." Simple, certain. That was new. Most people, when they stood in his house, they explained themselves, apologized, asked. She didn't. She just was. Silas moved past her, slow, setting his tools down, watching without making it obvious. She crossed the room, light steps, careful but not hesitant. Her fingers brushed along the edge of the table, then the window, then the shelf. Not idle, checking, learning. Then she picked up his cup, turned it in her hand, studied the rim, set it down somewhere else, straighter, cleaner, better. Silas's jaw tightened slightly. "You move my things." She answered without looking at him. They were wrong. A beat. Silence. That should have irritated him. It didn't. Not the way it should. He stepped closer, close enough now to see more clearly. The line of her neck, the curve of her shoulder beneath the thin fabric, the way the dress rested against her body, not made to show anything, but revealing anyway. He looked away, too slow. "You eat?" he asked. She shook her head. "After you." Silas frowned slightly. "No." A pause. He gestured to the table. "Now." She hesitated, just for a second, then obeyed, sitting carefully, straight-backed, controlled. He sat across from her, closer than he'd been to another person in years. They ate in silence, but it wasn't the same silence, not empty, not distant, something else. He could hear her breathing, see the small movements of her hands, the way her fingers held the spoon, precise, delicate, different from anything in this place. Halfway through, she stopped, looked at him, then, slowly, pushed a piece of meat from her bowl into his. He frowned. "You need it more," she said, quiet, matter of fact. He stared at the piece, then at her. "You barely ate." She didn't argue, just watched him, like she already knew what he would do. Silas picked it up, put it back in her bowl. Eat. Flat. Final. Something flickered in her eyes. Not defiance, not submission, understanding. She nodded once and ate. That night he noticed it. Everything. The sounds, the movement, the presence. She walked across the floor, barely making noise, but he heard it anyway, felt it, like the house itself had started breathing differently. He lay on his bed, eyes open, listening. At some point she moved past his door, close, very close, and for a second he could feel it, the nearness, the warmth. A person right there on the other side of his space. He turned slightly, staring into the dark, aware in a way he hadn't been in years, aware of the fact that he wasn't alone. And for reasons he didn't understand, he didn't hate it. Outside, the prairie stayed the same, cold, endless, unforgiving. But inside, his house was no longer just a place to sleep. It was becoming something else, something warmer, something dangerous. Because for the first time, Silas Creed wasn't just noticing her presence, he was starting to feel it. They came back 3 days later. Of course they did. Silas heard them before he saw them. 2 horses, maybe 3, slow, confident, like men who thought they were still welcome. He set the axe down, didn't rush, didn't call out, just waited. They rode up in a cloud of dust. Carter Voss again, and another man this time, both smiling. That same kind of smile, the kind that always came before something ugly. "Well now," Carter called out, leaning in his saddle, "thought we'd check on your gift." Silas didn't answer, just stood there, still, watching. Behind him, the cabin door creaked, soft. He didn't turn, didn't need to. He knew she was there, watching. "Has she learned anything yet?" the other man laughed. "Or she just stands there looking pretty?" Carter chuckled. Reckon she's good for something. That was the moment, the shift. Silas stepped forward, just one step, but it changed the air. You said your piece, he said, low, controlled. Now ride. Carter tilted his head, not moving. Or what? A pause. You gonna defend her? The word hung there, mocking. Silas didn't answer that. He took another step forward, closer to the horses now, close enough that the animals shifted slightly, uncomfortable. They felt it, even if the men didn't yet. She stays here. A beat. That's the end of it. Silence. Long. Tight. Then Carter laughed again, but it wasn't the same, not as easy. Funny, he muttered. Didn't think you were the type. His eyes flicked past Silas, toward the cabin, toward her. That was all it took. Silas moved, fast, not violent, but decisive. He stepped directly into the line of sight, blocking her completely, solid, immovable. You don't look at her. The words came out quieter this time, but heavier, more dangerous. Carter held his gaze, tried to, failed. He looked away first, spat into the dirt. Fine, he muttered. Keep your useless bride. He pulled on the reins, turned his horse. The other man followed. The dust settled again, slow, back into place. Silas stood there until they were gone, completely. Only then he turned. She was still at the doorway, hands clasped in front of her, watching him. Not scared, not trembling, just watching. He walked toward her, slower now, the tension still sitting in his shoulders, not gone yet. You stay inside when they come, he said, flat, habit again, trying to put distance back. She shook her head. No. A pause. I stand with you. Simple, certain. That stopped him. She stepped down from the doorway, one step, then another, coming closer, until she stood right in front of him, closer than before, closer than the table, closer than the night before. I am not afraid, she said, her voice soft but steady. The words landed differently, not like a reassurance, like a statement, like she had already chosen something. Silas looked at her, really looked, at the way she held herself, at the quiet strength in her, at the fact that she hadn't stepped back even once. His hand moved, before he thought about it, before he could stop it. It reached and caught her wrist. Not rough, not pulling, just holding, making sure she stayed there, real, present. She didn't pull away, didn't flinch. Her gaze stayed on his, unbroken. His thumb shifted slightly against her skin, rough, careful, like he wasn't used to touching something that soft. You don't know this place, he said, lower now, less command, more truth. They'll hurt you if they can. She held his gaze. They already tried. A pause. And I am still here. That hit, harder than anything Carter had said. Silas's grip loosened slightly, but he didn't let go. Not yet. Because for the first time, it didn't feel like he was holding her in place. It felt like he didn't want to lose the contact. After a moment, he released her. Slowly, like something he wasn't ready to give up. "Inside," he said, softer now. Not an order, an instinct. She nodded, turned, walked back toward the door. But just before stepping inside, she stopped, turned her head slightly, looking back at him. And this time, there was something new in her eyes. Not just strength, not just survival, something warmer, something that hadn't been there before. Trust. Silas stood in the yard, alone again, but not the same kind of alone, because now he wasn't just protecting someone, he was starting to care if she stayed. The road to Dry Mercy was long, dust rising with every step. Silas didn't speak, didn't need to. He walked ahead at first, out of habit, out of years of being alone. But after a while, he slowed. Not enough to notice, just enough that she could walk beside him. She didn't thank him, didn't ask, just matched his pace. The general store went quiet when they walked in. It always did, but this time it wasn't curiosity. It was attention, sharp, focused. Silas felt it immediately, the shift. Eyes on them, on her. Mayua felt it too, the weight of it. The same place that had laughed, that had traded her like an object, now watching again, waiting. "Didn't think you'd bring her back." Carter's voice cut through the room. Lazy, mean. He leaned against a barrel, like he'd been waiting. "Figured you'd send her off by now." A few men chuckled, soft, ugly. Silas didn't react, not at first. He walked forward, toward the counter, like Carter didn't exist. That irritated him more than anything. Carter pushed off the barrel, stepped closer. Or maybe his eyes slid over her, slow, deliberate. "You finally found a use for her." That was enough. Silas stopped, turned, slowly. But before he could speak, before he could move, she did. Mayua stepped forward, out from behind him, into the open. The room stilled. No one expected that, not from her. She lifted her chin, looked directly at Carter, not down, not away, at him. "I am not useless." Her English wasn't perfect, but it didn't need to be. Each word clear, sharp. A ripple moved through the room. Surprise, discomfort. Carter blinked, just once, recovering, smirk returning. "Oh, yeah?" he sneered. "And what are you, then?" Silence. Heavy. Waiting. She didn't hesitate, didn't look at Silas, didn't ask. She simply said it. "I am his." The words landed like something solid, something undeniable. Then, softer but stronger. "I am his wife." Silence. Total. The room stopped breathing. Silas didn't move, not right away, because for a second he couldn't. Those words hit deeper than anything Carter had said, deeper than anything he had let himself think. Then his hand moved, without hesitation this time, without thought. It found hers, fingers closing around her hand, firm, certain, holding. He stepped forward, Beside her now, not in front, not shielding, standing with her. That's right. His voice was quiet, but it carried. She is. A pause. And that's the last time you speak about her like she ain't. Carter looked between them, something in his expression shifting. Not amusement anymore, not control. He'd lost it. He scoffed, stepped back. Fine, he muttered. Wife. The word tasted wrong coming from him. He turned away. The others followed. No laughter this time. The tension broke, but something had changed. Not just in the room, in them. Silas didn't let go of her hand, didn't even think to. He just held it, standing there, in the open, in front of everyone. She didn't pull away. Her fingers tightened slightly around his, not asking, not uncertain, certain. They finished what they came for. Quiet. No more words, no more looks, because no one dared. The walk back was different, the air lighter, but heavier at the same time. Charged. He still held her hand, hadn't noticed when it became natural, when it stopped being a decision. She was the one who spoke first, soft. Wife. Testing the word. He glanced at her. You didn't have to say that. A pause. She shook her head slightly. I wanted to. Simple. Honest. That hit harder than anything else, because it wasn't defense, wasn't fear. It was choice. They reached the edge of his land, stopped, just for a moment. He turned to her, still holding her hand, closer now than they had ever stood before. You know what that means. His voice lower, more careful now, more real. She nodded. I do. A pause. And I stay. Something in his chest shifted, settled, locked into place. Not because she had been given to him, not because he had taken her in, but because she had chosen him, in front of everyone, without hesitation. And this time, when he looked at her, he didn't see a stranger. He didn't see a burden. He didn't see something left on his land. He saw someone who belonged there, with him. And for the first time, he didn't question it. The house was quiet that night. Not empty, not heavy, just full. The wind had died down outside, leaving the prairie still, endless, but no longer cold. Silas sat near the fire, not working, not fixing anything, just sitting there, like he was still trying to understand something. Behind him, soft footsteps. He didn't turn. He knew. Mayeux stopped a few feet away, close enough to feel, far enough to leave space. You are quiet again, she said, soft, not accusing, just noticing. Silas let out a slow breath. I don't have many words. A pause. Never needed them. She stepped closer, one step, then another, until the distance between them was gone. You don't need many, she said, only true ones. That made him look at her, really look. Her face softened by the glow, hair loose, falling around her shoulders, the simple gray dress, worn, but sitting differently on her now, not like something given, like something she owned. Silas stood, slow, careful. Now they were face to face, close enough that he could feel the warmth of her skin. They called you useless. The words came out low, rough, still carrying anger, old anger. She didn't react, just watched him, waiting. He stepped closer, closing the last space between them. You fixed this place. A pause. You fixed things I didn't know were broken. His hand moved. This time, not hesitant, not unsure. It settled at her waist, warm, solid, holding. She didn't pull away, didn't stiffen. She leaned into it, just slightly. Enough. You stayed, he continued, voice quieter now, more real, when anyone else would have left. Her hand lifted, resting against his chest again, over his heart, like before, only this time without hesitation. I stay because I choose. A beat. And because, her voice softened, I am not alone here. That hit deeper than anything else. Silas's hand tightened slightly at her waist, not pulling, just holding her there, like he finally understood something he'd been missing. You're not, he said, low, certain. Then, after a long moment, he added, You won't be. Silence settled between them, but it wasn't empty. It was full of everything they hadn't said before. His other hand rose, slower this time, more careful, until it touched her face, thumb brushing lightly against her cheek. Rough skin, gentle movement. She leaned into his hand, eyes soft, trusting. That was all he needed. He lowered his head, slow, giving her space, giving her choice. She didn't move away, didn't hesitate. Their lips met, warm, still, not rushed, not taken, chosen. His hand at her waist held her closer now, not tight, just enough to feel her fully there, real, present. When they pulled apart, they didn't step away, didn't break contact. Foreheads almost touching, breathing the same air. They were wrong, he said. A beat. They all were. She watched him, waiting. You're not useless. His voice dropped lower, more certain than anything he had ever said. You're everything in this house. A pause, then even quieter, more honest. You're everything to me. Her fingers tightened slightly against his chest, not surprised, not overwhelmed, just accepting, like she had known. Outside, the prairie stretched on forever, unchanged, still harsh, still unforgiving. But inside, the house had become something else entirely. Not just shelter, not just survival. A place where two people who had been thrown away by the world had chosen each other. And for the first time, Silas Creed wasn't just living through the days, he was living for someone inside them.